Welcome to Inner Star Compass Healing Podcast, where I bring to you notes of hope for your healing. This platform was created to bring agents of change together to collaboratively talk about the different modalities and options for optimal health. Integrative health is more than a prescription. It looks like you empowering yourself to have the autonomy to select the nutrition that feed the mind, body, and soul. The contents on this show and website are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, and/or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified medical provider with any questions you have regarding a medical condition. And before undertaking any diet, taking any dietary supplements, exercise, or other health programs. This is Aletha Williams coming to you for another great podcast. Stay tuned. Well, you guys. Welcome. Happy New Year's to those who I have not seen at the beginning of the year, and welcome to my special and honored guest, Swil Kanim. Hi, Swil. How are you?
Very good. How about you?
I am so blessed to have you on as my first guest of the year. I'm going to have to talk about this man. I am so honored. He is a U.S. Army veteran, classically trained violinist, a native storyteller, and actor. So we're going to talk about that acting part in a few. And he is a member of the Lummi Nation. Because of his unique ability to inspire audiences to express themselves honorably, Swil is sought after as a keynote speaker for conferences, workshops, schools, assemblies, and rehabilitation centers. He travels extensively throughout the United States, enchanting audiences with his original composition music and native storytelling. His workshops, The Element of Honor, are attended by people from all walks of life. Swell considers himself and his music to be the product of a well supported public school program system. Music and the performance of music helped him to process the traumas associated with his early placement into the foster care system. He composed and incorporated classical influences as well as musical interpretations of his journey from depression and despair to spiritual and emotional freedom. The music and the stories that emerge from his experiences have been transforming lives for himself as well as for people all over the place and the world for decades. Without further ado, please let me present Swell Kanim. Am I pronouncing that beautiful last name right?
Yeah, you say it together. Swil Kanim. It's two
Yes.
words, but it's like a sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so welcome and thank you so much. I am so
Mhm.
honored to have you as one of the agents of change that are coming onto my podcast. And to my audience who's wondering what are agents of change, when you look at Swill, what do you feel in your heart? Do you feel loved? Do you feel healed? Do you feel blessed? Well, that is an agent of change. And when I come across them, I kind of stick to them because our energies kind of vibrate at the same vibration. And so, Swell, you're just it's such an honor to know you and to have you in my circle of influence and effect. And we're going to talk about circles of influence and we're going to talk about circles of effect and what they are. Because when you have the right people in your path that influence you, you can also affect, and you also have an effect based on your gift and how you're using it, and your passion and your intention, how you're using it to spread more love towards the world and the community. So, Swell, can you tell us a little bit about that beautiful story about how you became a violinist?
Oh, there's a lot to say about that. I I had a memory before I was a foster kid of an old man um, sitting on a stool, and he would play for a river that was flowing by.
Mm,
And when the what it, I remember everybody would be up in the house partying, fighting, and kissing on each other. I remember crawling down to this man sitting on a three-legged stool, and he as he played for the river, and I remember putting my hand on his knee and looking up over his belly of wisdom, and that vibration coming down and filling my soul.
Mm.
So I had a memory, and I took that memory into foster care. And of course, because of foster care, the this is in the 60s, the idea that the Indian was being saved by white America,
Mm-hmm.
those feelings of connection to that moment were pushed down,
Yeah.
which is the foundation of my trauma. That connection to music and everything was put down. Well, in fourth grade, my fourth grade teacher, Kathy Dorr, my hero,
Yeah.
if she's watching right now, which is possible, I would say that she's my hero in every sense of the word except sandwich, because she's
Yes.
not a hero sandwich. But she would fill my soul
Mm.
by being present to my truth, my feelings, my significance, and the passions that I act on by my own volition, my freedom to be me. So she
Mm.
would go out of her way to create those elements of honor in my life, in my educational system, which was a contrast to my early educational system, where I was told in so many ways that I'm less than because my skin is brown, I'm a loser because I'm an Indian. All of that,
Mm-hmm.
just these beliefs that I'm the enemy because there's the cowboys and the Indians, and if they're white skinned, they must be cowboys, and the Indians are the enemy. So we
Mm.
got to keep an eye on this one, that kind of thing that was out there. So Kathy Dorr invited a man to my classroom at Silver Beach Elementary School in fourth grade, and he played the violin for us. And when he was done, he said, "Who wants to play the violin?"
Mm.
And on that day, I said, "Me! I want to play the violin. Please, can I play the violin? Please, just let me play the violin. I want to play the violin so bad." And I remember when I was done expressing myself, he said, "Does anyone else want to play the violin?" And it's like, and so I they gave us parent permission slips to take home to our parents to see if you know to apply for the music program. And I gave it to my foster parents. I said, "Can I please play the violin?" And they said, "Not no, but HE double toothpick no." And I was like, "What is, what is that? Why?" And she goes, "Well, if you haven't noticed, we have an 18-year-old daughter of our own, and she's been playing ever since fourth grade at Silver Beach Elementary School, and she's just starting to sound good on that thing. So you can play anything but the violin. You can play the wood flute or the hand drums or anything but the violin." And I was devastated. I took the blank pair permission slip back to my fourth grade teacher, Kathy Dorr, and she saw how well, I mean, I tried to sneak it into the pile of sign sheets, and everybody was going off to recess, and she called me back to the side of her desk, and she said, "Your parent permission slip's not signed. Can you tell me why?" And I said, "Because my sister sucks." And she said, "That's not right. You can't talk like that about your sister." And I explained the whole thing to her, and she said, "It's my first year of teaching. What are they going
Mm.
to do? Fire me?" And she signed my parent permission slip, which
Mm.
allowed me to play a school instrument at school. And after school, my best friend would let me play. So she was present to my truth, my feelings, my significance, and the passions that I act on by my own volition. She was present to every element of honor,
Mm.
truth, feelings, significance, and volition. And looking back now, I'm realizing that, if really it was an important thing for a therapist to ask me, has anybody ever honored you, been fully present to you being you? And for me to be able to look back at that moment of Kathy Dorr forging a parent permission slip. By the way, she still denies that she did that, but I remember. It's my story, and I'm on here with you, so I'm going to say that's my story. But I remember her taking a stand for me, and
Mm.
and making sure that I got to play the violin. And And when I think about it, music and music education in public school environment gave me the skill set to process the traumas of my childhood. And that's what's really what I want to say. And that's why it's a part of my bio that I'm a product of a well supported public school music program. Because if it wasn't for that, all this creative energy I have could have been applied to my self destruction as opposed to impacting others in a positive way. Oh no, you're muted. Yeah, somehow you got muted. There we go.
It's fine. I think there's a spirit that wants me to just stop and listen to it and speak to you, but I'm gonna let him know that that it's not his turn yet. Because I haven't. I'm gonna tap
Oh,
into him when you are playing your music. So I'm going to ask him to stop doing that. So one of the things I want to talk to the audience about is if you have any questions, you could actually type in your questions, and I can see the comments on the side. And so right now I have Isaac Ruggles is on, and he's saying the honor of one is the honor of all. Love you, brother. And so thank you, Isaac. And Mary just said, I never knew the beautiful story of Kathy Dorr. And so, if you have questions that you want to ask Swell Kanim, please write it in and I will comment on it. Swell, thank you so much for sharing that part of the story. Um, as you know, I'm studying mind and body medicine, and so we use alternative means to help others heal through their, um, whether it be trauma, whether it not be trauma, but through anxiety and depression. And one of the things that we study is the fact that music is so healing for the soul. We've seen, I've read research that says music, even when you're about to die, will bring you back that beautiful memory of good, of something good in your memory. And so when you talked about that memory that helped you survived through some of your highest, actually some of your lowest periods of your life, you really speak that. And so you talked about honor, some four elements of honor, and I want to put it up against a banner. You mentioned truth. What are your elements of honor? And I want to
okay.
see the audience.
Truth, feelings, significance, and volition. VOLI, volition. Yeah, volition.
I think I can spell that.
VOLI shun.
So the elements,
Volition. TION. Yep.
I got it. The first
Okay.
thing that I wanted to point out is that you mentioned these four qualities and characteristics of honor, but you also take that into establishing a nonprofit right now. What is the nonprofit called?
Well, the nonprofit doesn't exist anymore. Yeah,
Okay,
it was called Honor Works.
okay.
Um, we basically accomplished our mission, and
Ooh.
um, so and Kathy Dorr developed a curriculum. My fourth grade teacher, the same one, Kathy Dorr, developed a curriculum that addressed empathy, and it worked its way into the state curriculum. So
Hmm.
that was a real important process.
Beautiful. You know, I went to on Christmas. I went to a fundraiser for children in Seattle, and it's trying to move its way up towards us. But it's a program that allows kids to play music, and to teach them the history of music and how to read music and how to write their own music. And so, this mentorship program that goes on with these nonprofits, I really want to give honor to people like Kathy Dorr,
Mm-hmm.
because she is an agent of change, and she brought you to us, and allow you to tap into your gift. Can I go back to that period when you were going through all that you were going through, and you were being told all these negative? Were there any other memory other than the memory of that beautiful soul that was playing music on the river that also helped carried you through those periods of negativity?
There were actually many.
Oh.
Um, and I mean this because almost every night when I was going to bed, I would sometimes cry. because I missed my cousins, I missed my aunties, I missed my uncles, I missed. Um, uh, but one of the things that my caseworker said to me when she was dropping us off at the home was that my brother and I, my older brother and I, we went to the same home. She said that you two are going to a good home. So, but I wondered what about my brother Clyde? What kind of home did he go to? And what it did was it made me um, put us, or I was put in a position where, because I didn't want to be placed in a bad home, um, I made sure that everyone thought I was really happy to be there.
Mm.
Um, so that skill set. You wanted to talk about acting. The
Yeah.
acting, that notion, putting forward that front, that I'm a happy person, that I'm happy to be there because I don't want to be placed in a worse home than the one I was in.
Mm.
Um, so there were clear moments where um, I would lay in bed at night and I'd cry quietly, silently, um, tears flowing down past my ears into my pillow, just
Mm.
really sad. But in that crying, I would hear music.
Mm.
I'd hear in my head an opportunity. I mean, the beginnings of a composition, and I could feel a heartbeat. It might have been my heart beating. It might have been that, but laying in that bed, I would feel a heartbeat that was bigger than mine, and
Mm.
it so there were many moments
Mm.
between kindergarten and fourth grade where music was an essential part of my endurance, my resilience. Um, I loved that we would have music education on even days and PE on odd days.
Mm.
And we'd alternate. I didn't want to miss a single day because I love PE and I love music. And so I just didn't want to be away from that. Um, and which is why I had perfect attendance as a kid, all the way through high school. I had perfect
Beautiful.
attendance because there was just too much in front of me that I didn't want to miss, and so I would say that um, th- my awareness of what music is for me as a young child became an essential perspective for the compositions of my music.
Mm.
Um, that they didn't have to be complex, that out of the simplicity of the notes, just phrased well,
Mm.
expertly, just laid out expertly, the simplest of pieces, the simplest of compositions can touch someone's heart, and it doesn't take long for that to happen. And that goes back to that experience of me with my hand on the knee of the elder, playing for the river. It didn't take long for that to make a profound resonance to me,
Yeah.
and um, that's why I still believe that the honor of one is the honor of all. That one person honoring their skills, gifts, and talents that got them through the most difficult times. That
Yeah.
one person honoring themselves brought honor to me.
Yeah.
Kathy Dorr, first year of teaching, fourth grade. I was in her classroom. I know I was a handful, just me by myself, but her honoring her skills, gifts, and talents.
Mm.
All of those people that honor themselves around me, that when I look at them and I realize that I want to be that. I want to be a person that honors their skills, gifts, and talents,
Yeah.
and then shares them with others.
Yeah.
And so that's what I feel like is happening.
You're pointing out something very essential to our healing: social support.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing that's research is showing. Without, we are social creatures. We have been brought up since the age of time to be around each other, to take that skill. The men will go hunting and the women will go cooking and take care of the kids, or and then some in other cultures everyone has a gift and they all come together to participate in the culture, or there's a healing that's required and everyone comes in and lay hands on that one person. So social support is so important. And when you don't have it, though, there's a period of sadness and depression that comes because sometimes society brings in shame, brings in this thing that you're not valued and you're not worth it. And so that's this depression and trauma that is built in some cultures is there. But there's something beautiful that you're talking about. There's a soul inside of you that came up and said, oh, I can feel the beat of the music. And I'm going to create with you in this silence while you're crying this beautiful art. And so, if I can say anything to the audience, is when you're in that silent, alone period, you're not alone.
Mm.
There's somebody else out there that you can connect with. And then you yourself honor yourself, love your heart and love yourself, and then you will see how beautiful that honoring yourself does for others around you. That circle of influence gets larger. What do you think about that?
I love it. Largely because a lot of people think that self honoring is selfish,
Right.
and but if if you look up one of the dictionary definitions of honor is that it's a higher degree of respect.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm going to respect you, spectacles. If I'm going to treat you like I'm going to see you again, right? Respect.
Mm,
Over and over again. Treat you like I'm going to see you over and over again. Um, if if honor is a higher degree of respect, then self honoring is a higher degree of self respect. And
mm,
it's very important, and it's why significance is an essential element of honor. When you recognize your significance,
mm.
then you can be ignited into um, by your volition. You can be ignited into the possibility of honor in your life, no matter what
Yes.
has happened, no matter
Wow.
how you have been disrespected or dishonored in the past. In the recognition and acknowledgement of your own significance, you can ignite honor in your life.
Yeah. There's a study that's out that measures emotions it measures emotions, and so they say anything below 200. I forgot what the metrics of the measurement is, but anything below 2,000 is means that you're pulling energy from others. But once you get above 200, you are honoring yourself and your energy and what you have to give to the world. And the more connected you are to yourself, the more you're able to give back to the world energetically. We have to be aware that we are energies, we're souls living in a human body, and what we put out really does affect the collective.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's another phrase that says, if you're not okay, I'm not okay. So if I'm not okay, you're not if you're not okay, I'm not okay. So I want to see how I can help you be okay. And that comes into mentorship. What is your opinion about creating mentorship throughout your life,
Hmm.
taking on someone else and mentoring them into to into the beautiful artists that they are, despite not even just being a violinist, but just mentoring them through your experience, years of experience.
I went through a lot as a chaplain's assistant in the Army. I was a
Mm.
chaplain's assistant in the Army. So people who were having difficult times spiritually would come into the chapel. I'd feed them cookies and give them coffee, and you'd be surprised how that would help. Um, but then while they were there, one of the things I realized was um, that I had a inner drill sergeant,
Mm.
and that was, you know, motivational. I gave them a motive, and ignited that motivation. But that's not inspirational. That and that's what I strive to be now. Is that inside each and every single one of us is a higher calling. Inspire. That spire is a tower, right?
Mm,
It's a tall. It's a higher calling. So inside of each and every single one of us is an inspiration. And it's not that I need to be that inspiration, but I can help people. I can point to people by just saying that. Just saying that inside you is a higher calling,
yeah,
answer that calling. Just saying that is inspirational.
yeah,
And so coming up with different ways and different perspectives on that same message is part of what all of all of my art and really what mentorship is to me.
mm,
Being present to someone finding their higher calling, and that's hard. It's not easy
yeah,
because people can sincerely believe that there is no light at the end of the tunnel, and if that is what they believe, then that's what they will find when when we find or ignite that light in within us. Then um, you'll find that there's someone at the end of the tunnel holding up a mirror, and you were the source
mm,
of light the whole time.
mm,
And that is what I'm hoping that inspiration can bring out in people through mentorship. Um,
beautiful.
the thing about inspiration or a higher calling is that it doesn't have to be a grandiose vision of the future. It could be just simply the next day will be better. The
Yeah,
next moment will be better. The next hour, the next minute, the next second will be better than the last.
yeah,
And that's all it takes to be
yeah.
inspirational is be fully present to someone and wherever they are
Mm.
um, and help them to see.
When I use equine therapy to help some of my clients heal through their issues, I always say the horse meets you where you are at. And when you mention honoring the space that somebody shows up in and just holding space for them and seeing them where they are non-judgmentally, that's exactly what it does. It's we're meeting them where they are and just honoring the space that they're in without judgment. There's another thing that I want to mention. And I would love to ask if you can play one of your songs and tell the story about it before you play it. Is when music comes in or anything creative comes in, I encourage my clients, and I use music, I use horses, and I use art for creative expression and journaling to help my clients tap into one major thing: their hearts. We tend to try to run away from our emotions because sometimes it's too much, it's too daunting, the past is too much. But we're not trying to ask you to go back to your past. We're actually trying to ask you to hold space for the emotion that it caused you, and to once you hold space for that emotion and you release it, you don't have to go back to the past anymore. You're moving forward, you're being present and going forward. And so one of the things that I encourage the audience when they listen to Swil as he's about to play is stop for a second and close your eyes and really feel the music inside of your heart. Feel where in your body it resonates. What part of your energy center, whether it's your from your pelvic bone to your heart to your head, does it give you chills over your body? Observe where this frequency that he's going to be playing, because he's vibration is everything. And once the mind get into a relaxed state of gamma state, your body starts to automatically heal. And so music, meditation, creative creative expression, that's what it does. It slows your brain wave down slow enough, and as he plays the music, your breathing is going to slow. As your breathing slow, your heart rate slows, and again, your body automatically starts to heal. And so, I want to encourage you when before after he tells the story, I want you to understand and just feel for that moment the healing powers of the vibration he's going to play.
So, what I want to acknowledge is that this violin, this beautiful instrument, um, made by Dorothy Smith of Allegro Strings here in Bellingham, um, it was when the RV park that I'm in right now was flooding. Um, I I grabbed my violin and my dog, my wife, and everything we needed was in the boat that was rescuing us.
Mm,
Everything we needed. We didn't have to we didn't have to step into the sewer water that was coming up from the RV park around us, and we just got in the boat, and everything I needed was in that boat with me. Um, in native tradition, there's a big distinction between a boat and a canoe. You know,
yes.
there's someone who's in a canoe, you don't call it a boat. You don't, whatever, right? Well, I wrote this poem to describe this piece in 1991, which is a long time ago. But to me, it was about a little boat and the big river. And believe me, the little creek that usually flows by us was a big river as far as I could see. It was water all around here.
Mm, yeah.
And it was a little boat, and everything I needed was in that boat: my
Mm,
wife, my life, my dog, and my violins.
mhm.
Everything I needed was in that boat. And the beautiful, you know, we lost that motorhome. It got water damaged beyond repair. Um, but um, the people who follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and people who have been friends of mine for decades, they all pitched in what they could. And
Mm,
I am sitting in my new motorhome right now. This is our second day in this motorhome, and it came from trusting in that little boat and
amen.
recognizing that, and not dwelling on the negativity, but really just accepting the gifts and being open to allowing people to be
Mm,
generous. And
amen.
so the poem that I wrote back in 1991 goes like this: Imagine the child standing at the edge of a river. The time has come to test a hand carved work of art on the water. Knowing the mystery of the current will soon take the sum of all the trials away to a place unknown. The soothing voice behind the child says, "This is good. Your canoe will soon flow to your ancestors and bring them great joy. I am the child, and this is a little boat in the big river."
Mm. Hmm. Beautiful. I created my own story in my head as I listened to it.
I love that.
Would you like me to hear? Would you like to hear my story of what I heard?
Yes.
So this young man is in the in the boat. He's in the canoe, and he's kind of scared. He's looking around. He looks left and he's looking right. He's looking at the memories that he's about to leave behind. And the river is ever so gently pushing the canoe forward. And he's not paddling, he's just being floated, and he's just looking left and right. And he sees people on the edge waving, saying goodbye. And all of a sudden, he looks behind and he takes one final breath and breathe and paddles and paddles. And as he's paddling, he felt scared of the unknown that's ahead. But then all of a sudden, other canoes came in, and he felt enlivened and supported and strengthened, and they went forward towards the unknown.
Awesome.
I'm a very creative, crazy person, but I love it. I love
I do
tapping
too.
into other people's stories. That was very, very beautiful. If you were to heal the world with music, which music would that be?
Hmm.
What is the story behind it? Mm.
Hmm. I would have to say my version of Amazing Grace.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Um, One of the things um, that one of the greatest understandings I got in my healing journey was the relationship between shame and
Mm,
grace. That in in shame, I could never overcome my past, but in grace, I will shine
mm,
beyond my worst mistake. I
amen.
will. Um, Grace is amazing in that if you keep your eye on grace, it will circumvent the maze. It will create a way out and
Mm,
about. It's amazing. Grace is that if I just focus on the grace within, um, sometimes it can be just trusting that if I just stay right, if I just keep going right, and I try all the different ways of being, that just stay right, true to myself,
mm,
and I'll get through it. So I would say there was a time when I was a street performer in Seattle, and I was about $300 short on rent. So I was grumpy. I was ashamed of myself for putting myself in that predicament. I was really down on myself and was there all day from 10 o'clock in the morning. You can play in an hour in a spot unless no one puts their instrument down. There's rules about being a street performer at the Pike Place Market, and I was there from 10 in the morning until 6 o'clock at night, and nobody had taken my spot. And
mm,
it's near the end of the day, and I was worried about bus fare home, let alone $300 for rent. It was just a bad day, and I just accepted that earlier on, and but I just kept on playing. And then a man was walking toward my case, and he was reaching in his pocket, which to a street performer is a good sign, right? Like
yeah, yeah.
instantly, I started perking up a little bit, and he was reaching in his pocket, but instead of pulling out a dollar bill or change or anything, he pulled out a Christian track, and he put
Mm,
that in my empty violin case. And I told him, and I will say, non-Christian terms. I said, I don't need no Christian track. I got those all stacked up on my windowsill at home. I'm going to see which denomination's going to win at the end of the year. And he said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. And I said, well, you did. Um,
Uh-huh.
and then he said, I know, I'll tip you real money if you can play for me a song called Amazing Grace. And I
Mm.
said, all right, I'll tip you. I mean, I'll play Amazing Grace, but you got to tip me because you're a Christian. You got to be a man of your word. And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, so I'm going to play it so bad and out of tune, you won't even be able to tell that it is Amazing Grace. And he said, no, I got to be able to tell that it is Amazing Grace. Otherwise, it's not a deal.
Mm.
And I said, okay, I'll play it so bad and out of tune, you'll just barely tell that it is Amazing Grace. And then he said, "Oh, okay, all right, that's fair enough." I said, "Really? Okay." So I played Amazing Grace in the wrong key, the wrong pitch, the wrong, just wrong attitude. Everything was wrong about the way I was playing Amazing Grace.
Mm.
But then an interesting thing happened around the third verse. My fingers started to play the right notes. And I was like, hey, fingers, play the wrong notes. But they just kept playing the right notes. And then it
Mm.
occurred to me, maybe he'll give me a bigger tip if I play it from the right way a couple times. And so I closed my eyes and I'm listening to the song, and I noticed that I was leaking out my eye because I was thinking about how I treated him, how
Mm.
beautiful this music is, so many things. My eyes were closed, but I was leaking, and
Mm.
uh, and I opened my eyes when I finished the song, and there's a big crowd of people standing around. I don't know where they came from. They hadn't been there all day. I hadn't had a crowd the whole day. And my Christian friend, he reached in his pocket and he pulled out $1 bill and he said to everybody standing here, my friend here needs $300 for rent. And
Mm.
he put his $1 bill in my case. And then everybody came forward and they started saying things like, uh, they started saying things, that things that street performers dream of, like, "Excuse me,
Yeah.
sir, will you accept checks?" And I was like, yeah. Where's the nearest ATM machine? And
Oh
it's like up the
wow.
stairs to the left. And next thing you know, not only did I have enough money for rent, I had enough money to produce my first demo CD, and
Mm.
called "The Little
Beautiful.
Boat in the Big River."
Woo.
Um, and I'm thinking about that now. Uh, now,
Absolutely.
that we're blessed by this, the warmth of this home. Um, that we're in a dry motor home now, um, and it's all out of grace.
Amen.
When it first happened, a friend of mine said, "You need to practice um, radical acceptance,"
Yes.
and so let that be um, an inspiration to us all, that
Yes.
we need to radically accept love in our lives.
Amen.
And things like this, things, a roof over our heads, can come from that radical acceptance. So
So Jay
just,
says my brother tells a great story like life of the heart. And
oh,
then
who said
Emily
this?
says Jay Bowen.
Oh, Jay, good old Jay Bowen.
And then Emily says my eyes are leaking. And Jay says just give us a chance to love you back. And
Oh,
Jay, you're saying something really important here, the art of receiving. And I just had 6 months, 7 months ago, I did my right hip replacement, and then 4 weeks ago, I did my left hip. And the art of receiving help is my test
mm,
to receive help and to receive love from those who truly genuinely care. And so Jay, you're right. And I want this song Amazing Grace to remind us that there are people out there that have beautiful souls that just want to be a part of the collective, that wants to love on us. Because when you love yourself, that love pours out so much that just the remnant, the trickling that pours out is so much that it also fills your cup. And so we're hoping that the stories that we're telling, the connections that we're talking about, the fact that mentorship, social support, feeling your emotions, sitting and holding space with others, these things are inspiration to you to hear notes of hope from either myself or Swell. So please, I will try not to sing. I Isaac says Heart inspires art, inspires heart.
Oh.
Let me tell you something, Isaac. I'm Jamaican. That's too many H's, and I can't say all of those. Okay, so everything sounds the same. Woo! I am just beyond honored. That is just beautiful. That is just beautiful. I'm not even going to tell you where I went. Thank you. Laurel Lemke says, beautiful. She sent you a flower. And Terry Fear says, Ish, Ishke needed this. I hope I said it right. Well, if you can say anything to your Lummi Nation friends and family and tribe out there, what would you say to them through this message and medium?
We're going through a tough time. Um, to my family, friends and family that are enduring this pandemic, um, I offer the simple notion We have endured this in the past. We have a history of surviving floods. We have a history of surviving. I mean, Laktamish literally translates to survivors of the flood, the people that survived the flood. And so that is that is an amazing possibility. But I think there's other thoughts, and that is that um, the same thing that got us through the last one, the last major pandemic, and what it takes to survive a flood, is what will get us through this, and that is faith, hope, and love.
Mm.
Faith is the belief in things unseen, but I trust in my faith. I trust that people will honor their vision and follow their passion. Some of them will become violinists. Some of them will become storytellers. Some of them will become um, doctors, epidemiologists, cardiologists, whatever it takes. But I trust and I have faith that the Creator will put in our hearts what it takes to come together as
Mm.
one people. Hope, just that notion of that possibility on the other side of all of this is enough. And of course, the last thing is love. Let's make
Mm.
the pains of our life worthwhile. Let's be kind to one another. Let's lift each other up. Recognize that inside each and every single one of us is a higher calling,
Mm.
and be present to that and lift each other up with those words. So if there's one thing I would say, faith, hope, and love.
All right, I love it. Well, we cannot escape this hour without paying honor to that beautiful, beautiful better half that you have. And so this month we're talking about relationship on my podcast and how we use resiliency and love and appreciation for the other person that you chose to be with. And so I wanted you to take the next 6 minutes and use it within whatever media way you want to express yourself about your beautiful, beautiful wife. And then we
Okay.
will end with another music. Please, another music.
Okay. Well, there's so much I want to say um, about the love of my life in my wife. Um, One of the right now she's in the way back, taking care of the dog so he doesn't start barking and being all excited about me playing the violin. Um, but I know she knows these things. I am honored that she heard me when I said that um, we're that that the life I've chosen is not necessarily the easiest one.
Mm,
That when I met her, I felt like people before weren't um, didn't understand um, what I was saying when I say that I commit to a life of music, because music saved me, and I want to share that with others, and maybe they will find not necessarily music, but what will save them. They will find that passion in themselves, and people didn't understand the
mm,
choices I was making to live a life simply. Um, and it's not that I was taking a vow of poverty. I never said that, but I was going to have clear priorities that my violin was going to be cared for, probably sometimes better cared for than me. And uh, I was going to make choices, and for someone to have that faith in generosity, that I sometimes would have two opportunities put in front of me. One would be with a lot of money, and one would be with people that really need to hear my message, and I would choose that one.
mm,
And um, it was difficult choices sometimes, but Lori was right there with me, she trusted in my generosity, and I trusted in my gratitude, and that we would just day in day out look for that opportunity like a drum beat.
Yeah.
Just keep doing what we got to do. And it's one of the lessons I learned from playing music, was that I can make a mistake. I can forget my drum, forget my hands. I can forget the beat. I can make a mistake. But in music, you don't quit.
Mm.
Especially if you're performing, you look for the next opportunity to get back on track, and find the next beat, find the next measure, find the next movement, find the next opportunity to get back on track. And that's one thing that I would say has been most amazing about Lori.
Mm.
She is literally the most talented human being I have ever met. Um, uh, she understands what it is to pray.
Yeah.
Like, when we get in the car to drive somewhere, we're going a long way. We will hold hands and we will pray together. That we will
Mm.
pray for the safety of everyone on the journey. We will pray for everyone that shows up to wherever we're going. We'll pray. We'll pray. We'll just bless that when we get where we're going, I'm not worried or anxious about what I'm going to say or not say. She will pray that I will be inspired by the spirit of love to
Mm.
come up with the right words to say and do the
Amen.
right thing. So having someone who is that brilliant by my side lifts me up every day.
Amen. I love that.
And in the spirit of not knowing what I'm going to say or pray, I'm going to improvise this piece. This is recorded, right? Lori's gonna be able
Yes.
to watch this
Yes.
later. Okay, good. Um, so I I'm gonna I'm gonna create a new piece right in front of us, right, everybody, and have it be a piece about resilience and
Mm.
faith. That
Mm.
trusting in resilience as a way to be, and because trust me, I've made a lot of mistakes.
Ha.
I've done I've done things that would be really embarrassing to say. I've
Mm.
said things to Lori that I would never want to say to anyone,
Mm.
but she knows my heart
Hey.
and allows me to heal and overcome and be resilient. So this piece is about that resilience. If I make a
And
mistake,
and
I'll,
she's a beautiful artist. I'm gonna have her on next month, y'all. So
oh
there's more to
good,
come about Lori. Don't worry.
oh yeah,
Isaac says thank you, Swil and Alif. I love you both. And Jay says tell her about the artwork. Yes, Jay, we will be talking about Lori. And then Isaac says we are seeing and listening to it. Jay, look what she helped sculpt in Swil Kanim. Seriously, through her artwork is awesome. So she sculpted you as well.
oh yeah.
What a story. I absolutely love it. Love it. Wonderful. I can't wait to hear what she says when we interview her and have her version of what she heard. Swill, this has been an honor, and I'm to tears with the outcome of this beautiful podcast. For those who are listening, I hope you had many moments where you heard notes of hope and encouragement, knowing that there are people like Swill and myself that are out there that are working to try to help us through these hard times. If you need anything, any advice, any social support, let us know. Reach out to us privately, and you are never alone. So, Swill, I would love for you to end with saying whatever you want to say within within parameters, but please,
I think
um,
I said enough. I think I'm
thank
done.
you.
I really appreciate you.
And
Thank you, Alita.
Jay says he makes us better people, and so you do. And so you
Mm.
do. So thank you everyone so much for all that you're doing. Thank you for the patience in sitting here with us for 60 minutes. And without further ado, I wish you all a very beautiful, safe time. Cheers.